I
Like
know.
either be hot or cold.
Yeah, you know what? Up here, just north of us, a half an hour north, because I was out doing an errand listening to the radio station, and they're forecasting 4 degrees Celsius overnight up there.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it's like 25 miles north of Lake Ontario. It's insane.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
I
So
don't know how it can be like snowing and then like sleeting and then just like 88 and humid.
oh, I know. It's yeah, and the humidity kills me, man. I gotta ask you. So, you know what, I'm gonna get started here. Yo, crew, welcome to the Skipper Report. We got Adam Sauerwein back, part two, because we talked so much skiing and outdoor activity and during the wintertime. It's like I want to talk to him about the pursuit and his van conversions and what drove him to living in a skoolie the first time. But before we get going, we're talking about the weather because it's June 22nd, 2021, and they're forecasting up here 25 miles north of Lake Ontario, 4 degrees Celsius. I think that might be 30, 38, 39 degrees Fahrenheit.
Yeah, either way, it's stupid.
Yeah.
Is the way I look at it. Like, yeah, I don't know. I love winter and I'm like all for it when it's happening. But
Yeah.
like, I am also like go with the flow as far as weather. But when I'm like swimming in the lake and like surfing and everything else, and then it's just like, oh, it's going to be nearly freezing. I don't know. Like, I just go into like, I'm not a depressed person. And like,
Oh, right.
seasonal depression is real. And I can't
Yeah.
believe, and I hate the word depression because it's not, but I'm like, you just want to hermit. Like when it's 80, you're like, I'm out. I'm into it. Or when it's 10 degrees or 0 degrees and snowing, you know,
Yeah.
great. You're like, you're up at 5. But when it's like, you look at the forecast and it's like, oh, it's going to be 4 degrees Celsius and foggy. It just like shuts you down.
Yeah.
It's hard.
Yeah. Yeah. I know. I love this weather. I don't mind the heat, but man, the humidity that's been developing over the last few years it just kills me, man. I've always been a guy who just like even in high school playing basketball, it's like guys did not want to defend me because I could slide between two guys because I was sweating like crazy.
Same. I eat a chicken wing and I'm like so like I'm not kidding either. Like anything like medium spice, I'm just sweating. If I think about activities, I'm sweating. It's crazy. Like it's just who I am, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. So, anyways, hey, what was the weather like out in Utah when you were out mountain biking with Jess?
It was perfect. It was like chilly nights, dropped down enough to like cool down the van, but then it was like 80 to 90 degrees Fahrenheit, obviously, during the day. It was perfect. So like we'd get up early, get our ride in, then like kind of hang at camp and just relax or go for a walk because there's no shade.
Right.
Like, East Coast, we're just like, oh, we can always hide and you don't think about that.
Yeah.
But like you can't, there's no shade. You're in the desert.
Yeah.
You're like,
yeah, I don't know how people, I'd watch that homestead rescue or something. There's that guy from Alaska who builds homesteads, and he and his daughter and son would go down and rescue somebody who's got a homestead, and there's somebody trying to build a homestead and grow stuff in the desert, and it's like, dude, what are you doing? It's a desert.
I mean, it's just another level of suffering. But yeah, we were fortunate on weather, and then in the afternoon it would cool right down, and it's weird there because it's just, I don't know. I'm an East Coaster, you're an East Coaster, so like we always have some type of protection, whether it be wind protection or sun. Like the trees are a valuable resource that we take.
Yeah,
we don't realize how much. Like obviously we know we need trees. But when you're in the desert, you're just getting like, it's beautiful out, but it's windy and you're just getting like sand, like there's nothing you can do. You're just like frustrated in all the best ways.
I remember the first time we kind of RV'd. We took my in-laws Road Trek 200 out west on a road trip for 5 weeks or 6 weeks, and we were coming back. I think we were in Bozeman, and all of a sudden I could see this curtain coming. I was like, holy shit, here comes the sandstorm. And then, the sagebrush is rolling across the parking lot. We just made it into the van, and it felt like we were getting sandblasted, like no protection from anything.
Yeah, it's bizarre.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, I miss trees. When I came home, I was like thankful to be back, like hiking in the trees, which usually you hate when you're here. You're like, oh, I want to be above tree line, or I want to. And I was like, oh, I love this.
Yeah.
Give me this canopy and this shelter all day, every day.
I know at our cottage, because we're at the bottom of a hill at the lake, in the evenings, no matter how hot it gets during the summer, we have back windows where our bedroom is, and there's cold air rushing down through the cottage. It's so nice.
Yeah, it's like free air conditioning around.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. So I got to ask you, let's get this going. So back with the OG pursuit, not the podcast, but the van, and it was anything, anywhere, right?
Whatever, whenever.
Oh, that's it. Okay. So give us a little bit of backstory about, because you alluded to it in the previous podcast about you had that 9 to 5.
It seems so long ago, and and I say this to all my podcast like guests.
Yeah,
is that like your life is your life, so it's boring.
Right.
But when you're so I prep my guests, just not a lot, but just a little bit, like, hey, so don't skip over that stuff because people want to hear it.
Yeah.
But then when you say that, I'm like, oh, I skipped over it because it's just my, like, I don't know, that's what I do and that's what I've done. But I forget, like, that's, if anyone wants to hear my story, that's probably why.
Yeah.
So it's funny that you said that. But I don't know. I went to college and graduated and like got a real job and did the thing. And I'll make that part shorter. And I worked for a year in like environmental world, basically. And I hated it. I thought I would like it because it's like, oh, I'm an outdoorsman. I like the planet and I care. And
it's like me. It's like, oh, I'd like to run a bike shop. But when you own something like that, you don't get to do the stuff you like.
Yeah, and it was just, it's just, there's a lot of politics involved on like what's safe and what's not safe, and it could change tomorrow. It's just like what we're going through now. Like, a month ago we had to wear masks everywhere, and like things changed, and that's okay.
Yeah. But
I'm not saying it, but like it just changed. Like one day the rules are different, and I had a really hard time with that because obviously you have your personal opinions on environment and how things should be run.
Right.
But I did that for a year and I was miserable and I just wanted to be a ski bum and I was still young. And I grew up down the street from a bus garage.
Right.
Like, they just had hundreds of school buses and every year they'd put them out for sale. So I stopped by the one day and I just on a whim was like, how much is a bus? And they told me and I just bought one. Like, I don't know. There was no like thought in it. I grew up kind of a motorhead and like fixed it. So I wasn't worried about like fixing it or getting it running It was just, all right, I'm going to do it. And actually my buddy, Mike Croco, he used to work for Red Bull. Now he's a marketing guy for New Balance.
Right.
But we had met at like our last day of skiing at Holiday Valley. And I was like, I want to go on a surf trip. He's like, I want to go on a surf trip. I was like, all right, let's plan one. So that day, like being acquaintances, we put a trip in the books for like August. And I was like, I might have a school bus by then. And he's like, okay, like this guy doesn't know me from nothing.
Right.
Other than we're just like mutual acquaintances through skiing, snowboarding. So like 2 weeks before the trip, we're like planning it. And I like text him the next day. I was like, I bought a bus today. So I think we're taking the bus. So long story long, I bought a bus. It was a Chevy 1500 short bus, converted it real half-assed. Like I didn't know, I wasn't a woodworker. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know anything about solar. I remember I had it. It was a terrible build in hindsight. It was really gross, wet, moldy, like, cause you don't know. I didn't know anything.
Right.
I didn't know, when it's 80 degrees and you're insulating a van, it's like, oh, this is going to be warm. But it was that year, I don't know, it has to be 7 years ago now, but it was like our coldest winter to date. It was like one of our best winters, but it was frigid. And I had a propane heater, which if you don't know about propane heat, it just creates a ton of moisture.
Oh, so you had like one of those buddy heater things? Or...
Exactly.
All right.
I was like 20, I don't know, young, 20 young, and I didn't know it. I didn't know. I didn't care. And
Yeah.
I mean, I skied 100 plus days that year. I drove this bus around. It was a rotted piece of garbage. It had bald tires, but nothing mattered. And I think everyone should dirt bag it once in their life.
Yeah.
Like, because you just know. And that year, I was the healthiest, most fit. My immune system, like, I'm not like, oh, I can feel my immune system worked because I slept in cold. I lived in cold. I would have to melt a block of ice every morning. And this isn't like a hardship story. I wasn't poor.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm poor. I'm poor today, poor tomorrow. But
It's
like,
a
I wasn't
choice,
like,
man.
yeah, it was a choice.
Yeah.
And like, I would like melt the block of, I would put water that was melted in my pot before I went to bed, knowing it would be frozen in the morning, and then just like simmer it until I could like get it so I could boil it,
Right.
without like I don't know. If you ever just burn ice, it's weird.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't burn, but it's just a weird. But it was a suffer fest. I lived in my sleeping bag willingly. Like, I just had a -30 bag, and like, if I was up and I wasn't skiing, I was in my bag because
Right.
nothing was warm.
Yeah. Just
But
like the Mountaineers, man.
Yeah, and they're doing it way tougher than I am. But it's amazing what your body does. And like, you're talking about like the Alaskan homestead people. That's just what they know. And you become so, for lack of a better term, like hard.
Yeah.
Like, you're just like, my body was like, it wasn't like, I didn't look good. I wasn't like physically fit. I was still fat and like me. But my body was just like it was like a machine. It just like, it was running, and I didn't get sick. I wasn't like, it was crazy. My body was just in this mode. But then I went to get it inspected, and my shocks were literally like, where my shocks mounted were just completely rotted. So the only thing keeping my front shocks on was my hood. So if I'd open the hood, the shocks would go up, and then I would jack the thing up and close the hood to get them, and then they would just hit the hood. Right. So it was rotted. It was done.
Manual lowrider.
Yeah, it was just, I didn't care. It was like, I didn't have, nothing mattered. Like, if it broke down, it didn't, who cares? I would have left it there.
That's like Sean and I bought this Beetle this spring from my daughter's boyfriend. It's a diesel. It's got 430,000 kilometers on it. And, it's 20 years old, and I don't really care because, you know what? I get 800 miles on $45 worth of fuel.
Yeah, they're crazy. I had a TDI Jetta.
Right.
It's probably same year-ish. Mine was an 01.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Yeah, I get 47 miles of the gallon without, while beating on it.
Yeah, and you know what? This thing down the highway, if I need to pass somebody, I could do 80 miles an hour, no problem.
Yeah, they're great. I don't know why everyone doesn't drive efficient cars, but I can't say anything. I have the worst fuel efficiency. My best fuel efficient vehicle is my van, and then I have a 2001 Ford Excursion with a V10, so that gets about 8 miles to the gallon.
Wow.
I have a V8 Volkswagen Touareg that gets like 11 miles to the gallon, and then I have a 65 Volkswagen, but that's like my little.
That's your Sunday car.
Yeah, it's not much. My dad and I, that was our COVID project. My dad and I
cool.
Found one and had no interior or anything, but it was like a good shell. And he's not a car guy, but he's like very meticulous.
Yeah.
So he redid all the interior, and I got it like up to par mechanically. And it lives at my parents, and they drive it every Sunday, and it's perfect. I'll keep it forever as long as they're driving it. So.
That's cool.
But yeah,
let's get back to this surf story that you and your buddy were.
So that was just like awesome. That's like a trip that.
Did you go out west to surf, or was it East Coast?
No, we went to Jersey. We had a big group. Went to Long Branch, New Jersey, but we both worked for Red Bull at the time, so we knew a lot of like the surfer bros in Jersey from Red Bull, and, like Asbury Park area. So we just went on a surf trip for 2 weeks and like basically learned how to surf on the trip, and it was unreal. But we went mountain biking. We went to Action Park, in New Jersey. Went to the water park. It was just like a dude's, but it's fun to be like a tourist, and that's all it was. Like, I bought a van or that bus, and I remember I drove like most of the way, and then Mike was like, I'll drive, and he drove for like 10 seconds, and like everything fell off the shelves that have been on the shelves for like hundreds of miles.
Well, because you know how to massage your vehicle, right?
Yeah, you just gotta know. It's like you know, you can drive like a jerk tow in your RV, but you're gonna have more work when you get
Oh yeah.
to camp because your RV's stuff's gonna be everywhere. Like it'll stay. But
Yeah.
so we did that. It was amazing. And then I got rid of that bus, and I was like, all right, that was cool. That was fun. Like, I think I'm good. And then like a summer, that was like spring after the winter, I had to scrap the bus because it was complete garbage.
And so why did you call it The Pursuit?
I just love the idea of the pursuit because I think that's what life is.
Yeah.
It's the pursuit. And it's the pursuit of anything. Like if it's the pursuit of your career,
right,
the pursuit of happiness, the pursuit of, lifelong relationships, the pursuit of children, like people want those things.
Yeah.
Like, so I think it fits this mold of it's the pursuit and it's your pursuit and everyone's pursuit is different.
Right.
And it's, it's the mentality of like, whatever, whenever, which was like my little motto, which kind of still tries to be. And it's funny because my buddies like hold me over it. They'll be like, dude, you want to go dirt biking tomorrow? And I'm like, I don't know, dude. Like I'm 35 years, like I have responsibilities now. I'm not, and they're like, dude, whatever, whenever. And I'm like, all right, I'll see you at 8, and then I like dismiss all my responsibilities. But I think the pursuit to me, and it's funny because I never talk about it, but it's so much more than like the bus. The bus was just an object that people liked. Yeah. Like it was like a cool, this guy's doing what he wants to do.
And if the listeners want to see it on your Instagram page, I believe there's some little mini movies of the pursuit and some of the stuff.
So we had Corey Potter and I did a web series, and it went viral, and we should have kept going with it, but it was hard. We were young, and it cost us a lot of. Well, it cost a lot of money to do it, and it wasn't like I wasn't Corey Potter is a filmer. He's a videographer. That's what he does for a living, and this was almost 10 years ago now.
Yeah.
So he was like making his career. So he didn't have a lot of time to do free stuff. And I was reaping all the benefits as far as like, I was the star of the web series.
Right.
But like, a free jacket doesn't put fuel in my gas tank. And I was driving Corey all over, and that was the only way I could pay him. And that's not a complaint, but like I would give him free trips.
Yeah.
Like we're sponsored by Ski Vermont. So we had lift tickets to all of Vermont resorts, and like, that's awesome, but you still got to drive to all of them. And
right.
So it was, but it went really well. And the whole thing was just kind of like, live your best life. So it turned out very motivational, and we didn't really plan it to be. We didn't set out to make a motivational thing, but like episode 1 is still something that I look back on and like really enjoy.
Yeah.
It was just, we didn't have a plan. Corey interviewed me, set up a camera. We went skiing. The skiing sucked, so it didn't become like ski porn, which you always think you're going to make. And it was just kind of like, it's fun to look back because life gets busy and jobs and money. And it was like, do what you love every day forever is kind of like the long motto of the whatever, whenever. And the bus was just a simple object to like draw people in. That was like the gimmick.
Yeah.
And I didn't plan that, but that's just what it was. But the pursuit was, my buddy's a designer. He designed for Burton for years, and he made me a logo. And we were like thinking of all these names and all these, but like, he was, again, all my friends were young in their career. So it was like a fun project. We still have a logo. I still use it. I have shirts. I don't like go crazy, but it's a really simple buffalo. And I'm from Buffalo, New York, and buffaloes roam and I roam. So it kind of like was all played into one, but we had a huge list of things. And I don't know I don't know where the pursuit came from or what. And it's funny because a lot of brands use it now.
Well, I love it because, like, when you started your podcast, you started off with the pursuit, and I like that name, and you were like looking for another name. So I'm glad that you've stayed with the pursuit.
Yeah, it's a tricky one because it's like, do you hold on to things like that? That phase of my life isn't over. I'm still 35-year-old kid, and I
Yeah.
still like try to have fun every day while working as little as I can while surviving and like growing. And and this year's been crazy because everyone had an asterisk year this year,
Yeah.
but I didn't know if I wanted to like reinvent it or like what. I don't know. Like I always had like Up Next in my
Right.
brain as a podcast idea.
Oh yeah.
Like that was like, I don't know, I like that name. Like, but then it's kind of like my next guest needs no introduction, which is David Letterman.
Yep.
So I don't know. The pursuit worked, and like it's a weird with the podcast because it's the Out of Bounds podcast.
Yeah.
Adam Jabber, so there's two Adams, which is annoying, but he has an established podcast, and I was a guest, and then I got asked to join his podcast. But like, how do we differentiate
Right.
a podcast that's doing the same thing on the same channel, on the same RSS feed? So I was like, okay, we'll just call it, people know me as Adam X. So it's like, call it The Pursuit with Mr. Adam X on the Out of Bounds Network. So we're still working on that. Like I'm not the name change, but just there's two Adams.
Right.
So people don't, it's hard. Like it's a weird, we're different people, but we're doing the same thing on the same channel and our names are the same. So
I got to tell you, I love that Instagram live last week where he's doing a tutorial with you setting up your new bicycle.
Yeah, I think we're working on that so people understand that there are two Adams.
Yeah.
And like, how do we do it and be fun and not be boring and really show ourselves? Like I didn't apply to be a podcast host. I didn't apply, and I'm fortunate because it's a successful podcast in that space.
Yeah.
So like I've walked into but he asked me to be on the show, I don't know, 2 years ago, and I was a guest, and we just like, he lives in Western Mass. So I was in Vermont. So I had like detoured to a studio and we recorded, and we just like built a friendship off that, which I love because that's how life should be.
Exactly.
As far as just like, life is short, meet people, make friends, build opportunities. You don't know, not saying every person I meet, I'm trying to get an opportunity out of it, but like had I never met Jabber, I might not ever have this podcast.
And
really,
you know what? You and I wouldn't be doing what we're doing here right now.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, it's these little things in all of our lives that bring us together. Like telemark skiing is kind of the gap, the bridge for us. So, but, the pursuit, I don't know. I just think, and I need to start driving that home a little bit on why it's called The Pursuit, maybe on the podcast. Cause I think it'll help my guests understand, like, it's your pursuit. Like, this is my pursuit. What's your pursuit? And maybe that's like a branding thing that I need to work on. But
I love it. I think it's so cool, and your reasoning behind it, of your pursuit, my pursuit. Sean and I had some. She almost died on me twice, and the first time it was like, okay, we're going to work to enjoy the better things in life. We have good pensions, we have good jobs, we both love our jobs. We're fortunate, You said you're a 35-year-old kid. I'm a 57-year-old kid.
But I think that's great. That's what it should be.
Yeah.
You work 50 years and you get 10.
Yeah.
I don't like that. I hate that. And like, I have sacrifices for that. Like I was, when I build a van, I rent my buddy's shop who works his ass off and has a 3-bay garage. That's huge. I don't have that, but I have, he looks at me and he's like, I don't have that. I don't have that freedom, and time is free. And like, I make an okay living. Yeah. But it's sacrifice, and you guys were fortunate enough to really like your jobs. Yeah. And I really love what I do, but it's, it's highs and lows. And like I said, this year's just been, or the past year has been like, who knows? Like, I don't know where I am, what I'm doing.
Yeah. That was like my last guest, Jonathan Capozzi from Old Growth Ski Co. He's gone through a horrendous year at school because it's always flip-flop, and I wouldn't want to be an educator this year, No. Hybrid, homeschool, in the build, whatever. It's like, what the heck's going on? You just get your mojo going, and then everything switches around. So he's thinking of taking a year off, and, you know,
I know. I
pursuing.
texted him after I listened to the podcast, and I was like, "Dude, good for you." Like,
Yeah.
because that's what like I'm just taught, and it's easy for me. I don't have, I don't have a wife. Like I have a long-term
Yep.
girlfriend, and she's amazing. And thank you, Jess, for putting up with my bullshit. But like, we don't have kids, and I don't have a mortgage, and I
Right.
don't have like, so it's easy for me to make those easier for me to make those hard decisions on like saying no to money and walking away from comfort because
Yeah.
like I don't have money and I don't have comfort. So
Well, you know what? That
like
was like me. I was fortunate enough to graduate with an honors degree. So I didn't know this when I got into teaching. I had taught for 7 years before I realized an honors degree got me at the second highest pay level of our grid. I was like, I just had to put in the years, you know, to get off the grid. But I was like, yeah, I don't need to go back to school and upgrade and this, that, and the other thing. You know, for me, it was summers off,
yeah,
you know, and then
huge.
when we had kids, I was the primary caregiver for our children. You know, they're off school, I'm off school. I didn't have to shove them off to some babysitter and all that sort of stuff. You know, we were really fortunate. And Sean said she couldn't have her career if I didn't have mine. And out of all 30 years that we worked, I was the breadwinner 1 year. So I
Yeah,
was
but
always
that's how,
second.
like
Yeah, and I was putting in time with the kids, right? So
yeah, add up daycare costs.
yeah,
Like breadwinner gets real even when you start thinking about that.
and
But
you know
it's
what?
a team, and
We're a team. Exactly. Yes, just what you said. We're a team.
that's what it needs to be. And I joke about Jess because like we look at houses and like that step is coming, I'm sure. But like I'm like Jess, I've basically unemployed for the last 15 years. Like I'm not, but like they're not. The banks look at me like, well, this guy is loose cannon. Like, like I'll be able to pay it, and I always am. And I'm just like, obviously I own a photo business, and
Yeah.
weddings are good and they're great, and like they're again this year's always weird, so highs and lows. But on paper, it's like this guy could make 140 grand this year. This guy could make $1.
Right.
Like this guy is loose.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I always laugh, like, and it's a team, and that's how it should work. And where I can't, I could fix all my own stuff. You just figure it out. I
Yeah.
know, that's just how I live. Like
Yeah.
if I had to go roof tomorrow, I would. I don't want to.
I
but
don't.
would.
I don't. I've fallen off
No.
enough roofs. I was like, yeah, no, I give
We
up.
did
roofing.
it when we were kids. and
Yeah.
I'm glad I know how to. And like my theory with roofing now is like if a friend needs me to help him roof, I will. But like that's it.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to. It's funny. I'm like, I don't want to do it for money anymore.
Yeah.
It's like that's when the only time you should want to do it. And you're like, no, I'll just help a friend.
Yeah.
Like
I'm telling all my friends to put steel roofs on, and you never have to
so
change
much
the shingles.
easier.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know where I'm at in life. I'm just surviving and trying to enjoy it. And
So I know where you're at now. You're in a newer van.
yes,
So this is your third one, isn't it?
this is my.
Since the Pursuit.
Well, I've had the original bus,
Yeah.
the Chevy, and then I had a Ford bus. I
Okay.
did that for 2 years, and that one's still going. That
Wow.
one is actually the owners just are redoing it right now, and they live in Boston.
Okay.
It got passed through a couple people, and I like thought it was gone, and then someone messaged me on Instagram and was like, "Is this your bus?" And I was like, "Dude, yes! Like anything you need to know, I could tell you everything about it." And,
Right.
blah blah blah. But it's a Ford 7.3.
And that's a long bus, right?
No, that was a shorty.
Or that's
as well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was a shorty. It had a big patio on the back that I could fit my dirt bikes on and
Right.
stuff.
Right.
But so I had that, and then I actually bought a shuttle bus, and I never converted it. I had it for like 3 weeks, traded for a full size bus, and I was going to convert that. And then it was Christmas Eve, and someone left a note on like the window that was like, "If you want to sell this, I'll buy it." So I sold that the next day because I don't care. Nothing has any value to me
Right,
other than. And then I bought a University of Buffalo shuttle bus with a big 460 in it. And I was like, gonna build that. And I was like, I'll put it on eBay and see what happens. And like a church bought it, picked it up, drove it out of here. And then I bought
You can
a
add
brand.
used car or used bus salesman.
Oh, it's never ends. I can't stop. I just can't. Yeah, I don't know. I nothing has. People get attached to things. I don't. Like
Right,
everything is just like if it's a tool for me. So
right.
like if the
Yeah,
tool works and I like it and I keep
yeah.
using it, I will. But then I bought a brand new Ram ProMaster,
I think
which I'd
that's,
never bought a new car in my life.
and I
And
think
like
that's the one
again,
I saw you when you were
yeah, at
snurfing
Hollywood.
or yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I bought a brand new. I never bought anything brand new in my life. Again, me walking into my credit union that I've been a member of since I was 1 years old.
Right.
They're like, "Who are you?" And they know my entire family. And they're like, "Well, you need proof of income." And I was like, "Dude, just trust me." And like, you can't tell a bank to trust, but like, I got like my income is I'm self-employed, so like it comes from 100 different avenues. Like I don't just have like a W-9 to be like, oh, I made this year. I'm like, oh well, here's this and that. So they're like, oh God. But I got a ProMaster, and that was my first real build where
Right.
like carpentry mattered. Because the bus you just drill holes in and you patch and you fix and you like it's garbage week in Hamburg right now where
Yeah.
I'm at.
Oh yeah, yeah. So you
And
yeah
I'm
get
like
to
driving
cruise.
around. I'm like, oh, look at those cabinets or look at that. But like when you're building a brand new vehicle, so uh I basically taught myself how to build a van correctly with
Right.
the help of friends. Pat Merrick he's a he was an Ellicottville guy. He's in Philly now, but he's like a master woodworker,
Yep.
carpenter. So he coached me through. It's funny because now he's still way obviously like he's got years of trade ahead of me, but I can build what he can build now. But
Yep.
like it'll take me 3 weeks for what he can do in 2 days.
Right.
Like it's crazy watching like a master of their craft at anything.
Well,
But
because they've solved all these problems 100 times before. So, like I
and they're
always say,
confident.
carpentry. Yeah, carpentry is always problem solving, especially when you're doing renos. It's like, oh yeah, so how do I build the one around this wheel well? What would go best in here?
But I love woodworking because most of it's common sense. Like there's tricks of the trade for
Yeah.
sure, but like
Yeah.
I don't know if that doesn't fit, then you sand it or you cut
Yeah.
it or
Yeah.
you like it's not like it's not rocket science. It's
No,
if then like
it's like
if
the second oldest trade in the world.
right, but like if it's a 36-inch countertop, then like I guess that has to be you know
Yeah.
depending on your countertop thickness. Like okay, then you take an inch and a half from that,
Yeah.
and now it's a 34.5-inch shelf, and then you put your count. Now you're at 36. Like
Yeah.
that is simple to me, and that's why I like it because I'm simple minded. Like
Right.
if thans that makes sense.
Yep.
So, but that was the first one that I ever like started understanding woods and like I just made like garbage out of pine, and then
Yeah.
I realized like oh pine is really soft, and
Yeah.
you're driving a vehicle down a road at 80 miles an hour in a snowstorm with chains on, like it's
Yep.
so ProMaster was great, built that out, sold it.
And that's front wheel drive too, right?
That was front wheel drive. um it's not my favorite chassis
Right.
by any means.
Right.
I think it goes Sprinter's the best for a reason. They're really well built.
Yeah.
Then the Ford Transit, then the ProMaster. The ProMaster is great because it's front wheel drive and it's awesome, and like all your weight's on the front, but it's a work van that's loaded up. Like you put 100 sheets of plywood in here, like all your weight is off your front wheels now.
Yeah.
So it kind of defeats the purpose of being
Yeah.
good in the snow. But I sold that to a couple in Philly, and we still talk. They just sent me, actually, when I was out in Moab, they were in Moab, and she like sent me a video of her like overlanding like not intentionally, but
Yeah.
like, whoa,
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm literally in Moab right now. And she's like, are you kidding me? They were leaving.
Ah.
But it was like, I was like, oh, it's cool that both of my like, because that's still like back to the pursuit. Like that was my little creation.
Yeah.
And like that these two rad chicks are like climbing and using it exactly what it's made for. Was
Right.
like, it was cool. So they send me like it's like my baby. Like they send me
Yeah.
like updates of like, oh, it made it to California, and I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah,
Yeah.
But then it breaks, and I'm like, oh god. But I didn't build like I didn't make the van. That's
Right.
what I always say.
Yeah. 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 You just made the
I didn't-
inside.
I made the inside. So if something crumbles on the inside, like I'll do my like they've owned it for 2 years, so
Yeah.
like they're awesome. Like we help problem solve, and she
Right.
didn't think her solar was working, so I like kind of like what Jabber and I did over
Yep. Yeah.
on
Yeah.
Instagram. Like I walked her through like, okay, and I know it. I made schematics and like I try to like map, but like I'm an idiot savant. I know where everything in that thing is and how it is.
Right.
I was like, there should be a green wire within, and she's like, what? I'm like, and then she's like, holy shit, it's right. And I'm like, there it is.
Yep.
Like,
Yeah.
because you built, you know what I mean? You know.
Yeah. Yeah.
And now I'm on to a 2016 Ford Transit 350 diesel extended. So the ProMaster was a short wheelbase.
Yeah.
This is like the biggest, baddest one that Ford makes. And it's great. I don't know. I love it. It's for sale because everything's for sale. But again,
Yeah.
it's for me, it's times are tough and not in a bad way. But like this is a trade that I'm pretty good at. I understand it. And I always say I build them for life, not Instagram.
Right.
So I see so many of these van builds and all this hot topic bullshit. And it's like this thing is made for war. Like it's a war wagon. It'll be if it's 0 degrees out or -5 on the East Coast, this thing will be 75 degrees, well insulated. Like all your clothes will be dry. It'll have power.
Do you use one of those
heater.
little diesel heaters?
Yeah, I run a diesel
Yep.
heater.
Nice.
It's the I mean, it's
yeah.
It's the answer. It really is. Yeah, I don't know. I try to make them as homey as possible, all while making them functional.
So here's the question: you think about homey. Where do you shit, shower, and shave, man, in a little van?
So the back doors open, and then there's a tap there.
Okay.
So I have a shower hookup.
Yep. Nice.
So I can shower. I have 16 gallons of water, so you got to be conscious on where you are and what you're doing. And then I have a primitive, like a
chemical toilet.
A chemical toilet.
Yeah.
That it's a 5-gallon. So between that and like public facilities, I don't know. What do you need? I don't.
Yeah. Well, that's like Sean and I. You know, we've got the Flying J Travel Air card. You know, if we're going places and we don't really feel like, you know, we haul around, or our fresh water is 100 gallons. There's like 1,000 pounds right there. It's like that's fuel. You know, so you just hit the Flying J, shower there, or if you got a membership at the Y or a gym, you know, Planet Fitness or whatever.
Yeah, and they're clean.
Yeah.
Like the Flying J, people are like scared. Like those are like the cleanest bathrooms I've ever been in my life.
I know.
But my trade secret is climbing gyms.
Yeah.
That's where I like to go. Like if I'm traveling solo, because you meet people.
Yeah.
They're nice. They're like-minded people. They always have a shower. And it's usually $9 to go bouldering.
Yeah.
So like I boulder, I get like a good cool down activity at night.
Yeah.
And then I shower. And then they usually let me sleep in their lot.
Right.
It's like a good versus if you go to like a fitness gym, no one wants to talk to you. No one
Yeah.
who you are. No. So the climbing gyms are like but I'm also a dirtbag. Like I don't care. When you're by yourself, you don't care.
Yeah.
Like when Jess comes with me, it's definitely showers are more conscious. Like, you know, she's got a full head of hair. I have like this dumb little sprout. And, you know, I just bought a Nemo shower. It's a little 5-gallon portable shower.
Is that the one that like you hang up and it's solar?
You don't hang it. It's got a foot pump and you pressurize it. So it sits on the ground and it's just got like a dish sink sprayer.
Yes.
And it's amazing. Like it's perfect. Like it gives you a great shower.
Yeah.
The thing's black, so the water gets plenty hot. But even just washing your hands and stuff.
Yeah.
Because we ride dirt bikes all summer, so I can put that in the trailer. I can carry extra water.
Right. I know when I was up helping my brother-in-law build his house on the shore of Lake Superior, we were in an adjacent lot that a camp cottage was being torn down, and we didn't have water. And so I was like, Sean would go uptown every day to visit her girlfriends, whatever, and she'd go to Rob's condo and shower. And I was like, I'm the dirt bag. You know, I'm carpentry all day long, sweating my ass off, and it's like, I got to get clean. You don't get clean in cold water in Lake Superior. So I off Amazon, I bought this, I don't know, couple of gallon Coleman black bag, and I'd fill it up and leave it in the sun all day, hang it from a tree, and you know what? It worked perfectly, man.
Yeah, they work. I had one. My big thing is one Moab. There was no trees. There's nowhere to hang it, and I can hang it off my ladder in my van.
Yeah.
But I hate carrying the water in the bag. I don't trust it.
Right.
And
Right.
if that bladder bursts, it's game over.
Yeah. It's not. Yeah. It's not a very thick bladder.
So then I usually bring a Rubbermaid tub and I put that in the tub.
Right.
But I don't know. I'm happy with the Nemo one so far. I've had it for a couple months, and I was just camping this weekend. We went dirt biking and like
You camp every night.
I know, but like there's like actual camping.
Yeah.
And there's like,
and you don't have shore power and water like a traditional RV or something like a
no, I
Road
don't
Trek
have
200.
city hookup
Yeah.
for water, but I can use shore power if
okay.
need. Like I have the ability to plug in
Yeah.
To my, so it runs through my inverter, which is an inverter charger.
Yeah.
And it'll like once the batteries are full, it can bypass.
Yeah.
And just run. But I don't run anything. Like the only thing I use AC for, which would be outlets,
Yeah.
for like normal house
120
outlet.
volt. Yeah.
Yeah, would be just to charge my laptop and my cameras.
Right.
Everything else is all DC. My fridge is 12 volt DC, so that's just direct current right to the battery.
And how many cubic feet is your fridge? Like it's like a small bar fridge.
Yeah, it's small, but like,
how's the DC handle? Because I know a lot of RV manufacturers are now going to 12 volt refrigerators instead of the propane electric.
It's good. You know, it basically draws 20 to 30 amp hours a day.
Oh, okay.
Or amps a day.
Yeah.
And I have 300 amp hours. So, and it just depends on ventilation. Like it's in a box.
Right.
You build everything in stuff kind of.
Yeah.
And like I had to change it. Actually, I had to put vents in because it was in the box, which then was holding heat.
Yeah.
And then the pump was working harder, which was then creating more heat. So, but
yeah, because they're condenser fridges, right? They draw the heat out. They're not actually putting cold air in.
So I put a fan in there on like a thermo switch. So if it gets to 70 degrees inside the box, the fan will then turn on and vent itself.
Yeah.
But it's good. I mean, they're not huge, but like I can fit, on the door, I can fit like 2 cartons of milk if I like, just to give you size.
Yeah.
Like, I don't carry 2 cartons of milk, but like to give you size, it'll fit a carton, side by side carton of milk. And then there's like a little veggie tray underneath that's probably 4 inches high. And I don't know. It's plenty.
Like a university fridge.
Yeah, it's like that. And then, and then I usually, if I'm towing the trailer and the dirt bikes, I bring a big cooler and I just put all the drinks in the cooler, and then like the meats and vegetables stay in the fridge. So then they don't get soggy and stuff as stuff melts. But yeah, it's fine. And all my drawers are huge and everyone laughs. But like, again, I built it because I've done this. And you need storage.
Exactly.
Every Instagram post is like, oh, look at this bed that goes up. But I'm like, yeah, where did you put all your pillows in your sleeping bag? Like that had to go somewhere. So now you're either traveling with an empty drawer, which is insane to me.
Yeah.
So I'm just like a hater on everything on Instagram when it comes to that, because it's just not real. Or like, they have now a lot of people are putting their shower in like the hatch of their van.
Yeah.
Like if they have an actual van, they put it like in the hatch, and I'm like, yeah, that doesn't work. That's not. I don't know.
It doesn't work for me because like I'm being 6'6".
Yeah, and just like you don't want water in your van. Like that's always the number one battle is just moisture. Like when it's summer, it's humid and everything's wet, so and everything's in tight spaces and stuff, so you need airflow. And then in winter, everything's wet, so you need. So I try to build them as simple as possible while having creature comforts while being functional. Like I put a closet in this one, and I put a big closet, and I think I would do it again. It's just somewhere to put stuff. Like you get done skiing, and where do you put all your stuff? It's all wet. It's all dripping. So now at least it has somewhere to go and live. And then my cabinet or my closet has an intake and an exhaust fan, just tiny,
air circulation.
Like picture like a computer fan. Like they're not like but they're just, and that stuff. I mean, that is like it dries stuff so fast in there. But that's how I think of things.
Right.
And like the next one, I think I'm going to put my heater, because the heater's usually, it bolts to your floor. It's like about 5 inches tall.
Right.
So I think I'm going to make a subfloor for my closet and drill holes so that when the heater's on, the residual heat will rise into the closet.
Yeah.
And now it'll dry my boot. So it's just stuff like that that will help in the long run. And
exactly.
Just trying to make things very functional. It's kind of turned into like a little side gig, as far as like I just built some Ford Transit for somebody else. Someone just contacted me about a bus to build. So it's fun. I love building them. Like it's therapeutic. I mean, anyone who's a woodworker, like it sucks when it's a job sometimes, but it's cool. And there's no right or wrong way to do it. There's ways that I think make sense, but that's, I just try to have it be as functional as possible.
Right.
And like I do a real tile backsplash because everyone thinks it's a peel and stick, and I'm like, oh no, that's real tile, because it can easily be a depression cube.
Yeah.
Like you're by yourself a lot. You don't usually have TV for distraction. You're the life of the party in the parking lot. And I don't mean this to be like sad, it's just a reality. Like you're at a parking lot, you go mountain biking or you go skiing, and you've got the van, and you've got cold beers and whatever. And then everyone leaves.
Yeah.
And everyone goes home to their wives and kids or houses or apartments. And you're like, oh shit, like I have nothing else except for skiing tomorrow, which is again amazing. But so you gotta think about those things and like try to get as much natural sunlight as you can.
Well, what you're describing is that movie Nomad, right? I don't know if you've seen that. Yeah,
it's
people don't realize you're by yourself, and I would imagine COVID hasn't hit you as badly. I know it's probably curbed your activities, but how you live hasn't affected your personal living space or anything like that.
No, it was weird. Like I was out west when it happened.
Right.
And I was in California. We got like literally 6 foot of snow in 36 hours. And day one I was in town. It wasn't day one, but in California, I drove, long story long, I was in Utah at the Salt Lake airport to fly to Portland to go work a marathon.
Right.
And it got canceled because COVID was like, this is right when we were like, things were getting canceled, but it wasn't. I was on the plane, and like my boss called me, and quote unquote boss, I don't know, he's a boss, my superior. And he was like, did you leave yet? And I was like, no. He's like, are your bags on the plane? I was like, yeah. He's like, if you can get off the plane, get off the plane, because it's not happening. He's like, or fly to Portland and you can have a hotel for 4 days. But like, meanwhile, I know the storm's coming to Tahoe because I've been studying it. You become a meteorologist when you're a skier.
Yep.
And so I like looked at the flight attendant and I was like, I gotta get off this plane, and she's like, what? And I was like, it's like, my event's canceled. I tell her way too much information that she doesn't care about. And I was like, can I get off this plane? She's like, yeah, we're low, like where the door's open. And I was like, all right, I gotta go. So I got up and left, got in my car, and then drove to Tahoe. This was a Friday night, got there before the storm, nuked on Saturday. We got like probably 2 foot, skied at Squaw. It's great. But there was like literally 4 foot of snow coming.
Wow.
So I parked in my spot where I knew I could park and get out and get to the resort. And that night, Val closed their resorts.
Oh.
And Squaw is an Altera resort. And I was like, one more day. Give me one more day before you shut it down. But Val is the example, whether they're good or bad.
Right.
So they shut it down. And I was like, damn. So I pow surfed that day. Too much snow. My buddy Tyler Burns was with me. He was in his Tacoma. We pow surfed and like went to the grocery store, and they were like sold out of gas, like the gas station grocery store.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh shit, this is real. Like this is, because you're only getting blips of info when you're in your van. Like you could scroll the news, but I wasn't.
Yeah.
And so we waited there for 2 days until I could get gas, because I couldn't get out of there. I had enough, but I was heating with gas.
Yeah.
So got out of there, bought like a ton of junk food, like, and the whole place was picked because everyone from San Francisco had went to their places in Tahoe.
Yeah.
So I was like buying like shit that I love because I'm a dirtbag.
Well,
but, like,
what's that stuff that you were talking? I don't think it was.
beanie weenies.
Yeah, I never heard of
Yeah.
that, man. And
It's
I saw
Franks
like,
and beans
Yeah.
in a can. It's disgusting, but it's amazing. Like, it's easy. I'm dirtbag.
it's
Get some
dirt
bread,
bag food. Yeah.
some beanie weenie. I was like, this place is stocked. Tyler, I thought that was Tyler's first like experience of like true dirt bagging.
And you just interviewed him, didn't you?
yeah,
Yeah.
he
Okay.
was on the
Because when you
show.
said the Tacoma, I was like, oh, I think that's Tyler. You just interviewed. Yeah.
Yeah, I just brought him on the show. So long story long, I was like, well, let's get to Moab because we were traveling separate, but like we're really close friends.
Yeah.
And the world was ending, and I was like, let's get to Moab. Let's stock up, like get a ton of water, and because we needed it, we didn't have running water. Like I remember being at the grocery store and you could only buy like 2 gallons of water, and I had like 8. And the guy was like, and I like pointed out the window. I was like, dude, that's literally what I'm in for the next forever. Like, I need this water. And he was like, all right.
For
like,
the apocalypse.
but I wasn't like stocking up like to put
Yeah.
in my condo. Like I was.
Yeah. Yeah.
So like we'll go to Moab. I have a really good spot. It's off the grid. We won't see anybody because at this point it was like literally the plague. It was like, don't see anybody, don't touch anybody, wash your hands. So we were up there, we were hiding, and like I don't remember what it was, a sheriff or a state, whatever. They like rolled up and he was like, where are you guys from? And we were like, Buffalo, New York. And he's like, where are you going? I was like, right here. Because at this time it was 14 days. Like, we're here. I have everything I need. I have water. We had bikes or something, we had entertainment. We were good. And he's like, nope, can't stay here. It's all closed. And that was like when it really got real. Like when they like closed BLMs.
Okay. Well, that was my next question. They closed BLMs.
Yeah, they closed them. They just shut it because everyone, when they said it was 2 weeks, everyone from everywhere was
Went
just
to
like, all right,
BLMs.
I'll load up my camper and I'll go ride my side by side for 2 weeks. Like
Yeah.
it was a 2-week vacation at
Yeah.
that time. So he was cool, the sheriff or whatever he was, and he was just like, I'm gonna come back tomorrow. Just don't be here. Like just get moving,
Yeah.
So we like hemmed and hawed for a little bit, and I was like, I think I'm just gonna start driving. So we just drove separately. We both just headed back east.
Caravan. Yeah.
Yeah, and once it was weird. It was a weird time, and it is what it is. I think we're through it, but
Yeah.
it's just like,
Yeah.
it's crazy. But yeah, it was just a weird. The biggest thing was guilt. I felt guilty for doing things that I love to do that didn't. I felt like didn't impact people.
Right.
Like, I should still be able to go skiing. Maybe the resorts are closed, but like, can I go for a walk? Like, can I ride my bicycle? So it was a really weird time and period. And
that was the same out here. And that was like our previous conversation, right? And it's like, I'm out in the country. I can throw a baseball into the cornfield at 2 houses over. My daughter lives in the middle of, what is it this year? 500 acres of wheat.
Yeah.
And
so
we're out there building our.
And we talked about it a little bit, but it was just the guilt that was weird.
I never had the guilt. I was like, yeah, we made a good decision moving out here.
Yeah. I definitely had some guilt. I wasn't sure what to do and how to do it, especially being, and I hate the term, but like an influencer and like being.
You know what? How to do it. That was, you could still do it, but how do you do it? What can you do that's right?
And like, but my big thing that I wanted to promote during that was like, not look at me, I'm out here doing it, but like, I have to do this for my mental health and fitness. So if you need to do this, find a way to do it and do it safely and like recognize who you could be hurting or impacting if something went wrong.
Yeah.
Like we went to Mount Washington in March last year.
Yeah.
Like COVID times, I wasn't supposed to go to Vermont, let alone New Hampshire. And, Corey and I talked about it a lot. He lives in Killington. I like isolated myself, drove to Corey's. And then like when we were there, when we saw people like ask where you're from. And like, we had like a store, like I'm from Killington, and like, but like, I feel I did it safely, but I still felt like guilt for doing that. And then we went skiing we did airplane gully over at Mount Washington, and I remember like how at peace I felt mentally.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I was dying because I didn't move for months, and then I went and did Mount Washington. But like, how important that was for me, and like how important it was for Corey to like do these. So that was a good turning point, and like we can do this safely and be smart. And we didn't brag about it. I think I posted it like 2 months later,
Yeah, well,
which
you know
doesn't
what?
make it any better. But like,
Us old guys, we see young people these days, and it's like, dude, what you put that on social media for? Like, we did all that
right,
stupid shit too, but nobody knew. We never got in trouble because
right.
nobody recorded anything.
And mine's curated to an extent. You know, I'm not
Yeah.
posting anything too stupid. I don't really do anything too stupid anymore anyway, other than just sketchy sports stuff. But
Right.
like,
Yeah.
I think I posted it and I put mental health is important too, or
Oh,
something like that. Like,
yeah.
just, it was just a picture of me with my skis on my back. It
Yeah.
wasn't like, but people who knew where it was knew where, you know, people,
Yeah.
you can tell by a photo sometimes. And like, it was a weird thing, but I think, and I hope that like people learn from this. And I might have said this before, but like, you can still go outside, you can still ride your bike. Like, you can still, you don't have to go to the bar, and bars are great, but like, buy that 6-pack of Sierra Nevada.
Yeah.
And no, but buy that 6-pack and meet your friends at the park. And like,
Yeah.
I just hope that we like can remember that.
Well, you know what is crazy during this time? We were listening to the news, Sean and and I have to say, Sean is my wife. There's a local guy. We go and we've been doing all sorts of renovations. It's a Benjamin Moore store. I taught his kids, and he'd hear me talk about Sean. Sean would go into the store. We never went in at the same time, and then Sean walked in, and there was a guy with her, and this guy Paul thought they were together, and she goes, "No, I'm Keith's wife," and he's like, "You're Keith's wife? I thought Keith was gay because he always talks about Sean."
That's amazing.
That's the
It's
best
funny
story
how
ever.
people know each other though, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's the only scenarios that he's seen you and Sean are like separate.
Yeah, yeah,
So
it's hilarious. Yeah, yeah,
It's amazing.
yeah. So
That's funny.
yeah. Anyway, so are you in Buffalo now?
Yeah, I'm in Buffalo now. I was just in PA. We have a little camp up at near Bradford.
Oh yeah,
at a dirt bike place. So
yeah.
I was there for a couple days, and then I'm back. I'm at my parents' stealing internet right now. A tree fell in the backyard that I've been like chopping up, and my parents are plenty fine to do it, but
Yeah,
I'd rather my dad golf every day. And
right.
so I got to go grab a log splitter after this and split some logs. And yeah, I don't know what I got. I was just in California for work, and then I was in Kansas City the following week. And
Is
that's funny too.
is the wedding photography coming along this year?
Yeah, it's happening. It's my numbers are definitely down, but
Right.
my numbers are up for next year. So I
Oh,
think
that's
it's going to
good.
be another like survive year for me.
Yeah.
Doing this, which is fun though, because I can like focus on the Pursuit podcast and like
Yeah.
really cater those relationships with brands and sponsors, and learning that, because we have like it's crazy. It's a neat little, like, I'm not getting rich off it by any means, but
Yeah.
like I have some really good sponsors, and I have some cool sponsorship opportunities coming up. So I'm really just trying to cater to those and
Yeah.
hopefully make it like a viable source of income
Yeah.
soon.
Yeah.
And it's something I really enjoy, and trying to get like new guests and showcase people that I think deserve to be showcased. I've been doing a lot of females.
Well, you know what? Like, you were my role model for going outside your wheelhouse when you interviewed. Can't remember her name. The ski mom.
Oh yeah, she's Nicole.
Yeah, and I was
Yeah.
like, oh shit. So that's when I reached out to Megan Kelly in Tahoe, and man, did I ever learn a bunch of stuff from her. What her life was like. You know, she's a full-time civil engineer and the mom of triplet 6-year-old boys. Like, talk about a hectic lifestyle, and she's a ski athlete.
Yeah, I think it's like, one, their networks are crazy, like from a selfish point of view. Like, Nicole's network is even, I mean, she doesn't have 100 followers. She has 50,000.
Right.
But like, even if she had 100, there are 100 loyal, crazy, badass moms
Yeah.
who are like, so it's like this. So that's from like the selfish standpoint. But
I
the other
follow her, and I'm not a badass mom.
Yeah.
I
but
did.
like
I get into the stuff where you don't have to be a mom, you know, because
yeah,
I really
and
liked what she was talking about.
it's just fun to get a different perspective. Like, I'm a
Yeah.
30-something-year-old cool guy, skier, bro, and I don't make the resorts or brands money.
Yeah.
And then I didn't realize that until I talked to her, and she's like, listen, and she wasn't rude, you know, I'm making her sound, but she's like, listen, I spend the fucking money here.
Yeah.
And like,
you forget a pair of goggles. It's like, oh shit, I got to go buy a pair of goggles in a ski shop.
And she wasn't like that, but that's when I left the conversation. I was like, oh yeah, they're the people that you should be marketing to.
Yeah.
Not the 30-something-year-old rad dude trying to hold on to a dream because he used to be able to hug cliffs and now he can't walk. Like,
well, back in the day around here when I moved into town, and because I rode my bicycle, everybody knew me as, oh yeah, there's the shop teacher who rides his bike to work every day. And then we had this government program, and it was, you know, they were getting the recycling and green energy going, and so they had this cycling thing. And I was like, dude, you know what? You need to market the town to cycle tourists because they have money. They may look like a dirt bag on a bicycle and bags,
but that bike is $7,000.
Yeah, and you know what? It has taken them 25 years for our municipalities around here to develop that. That's like, man, you should have listened to me back in the day.
Yeah, you missed it.
Yeah.
Buffalo's crazy for biking. It's flat, so it's fun. And you can get anywhere and on a bicycle in about 20 minutes, which is really cool. And it's so easy. Like, it's fun because you can bike places when it's hot and you're not disgusting when you get there, right? That's always like the downfall of like biking to work, or like, and Buffalo is, and they're putting bike lanes in everywhere.
And see, where I live is kind of like the Finger Lakes, you know, rolling hills and all this sort of stuff.
Which can be tough, though. You got to be a diehard to want to, like, meet friends for drinks and show up, like, soaked.
Yeah.
You know? So
they have to be willing to say, yeah, it's okay, man. Yeah, it's dirt.
Yeah, that's why cycling Buffalo is so fun, because it's flat, so it's easy as far as that goes. But yeah, the podcast is cool.
That's cool.
I'm trying to showcase a ton of women, like anybody who I want to showcase anybody really.
Yeah.
And like, that's the fun part, is I have this avenue. And I think, again, going back to the pursuit, everyone has like their pursuit.
Yeah.
So like, how did you get here? What did you do? And I've got 17, 18 episodes out, and I'm getting more and more comfortable and figuring it out and figuring out what works, what doesn't work.
Yeah.
And it's easy when you listen to it. You're like, oh, he should have asked that. And I'm like, oh, he is me.
Yeah.
And so it's like our first time we got on, we talked for an hour, and I was like, oh, we didn't cover half the things.
Yeah.
I can talk and you can talk.
Yeah.
So
I saw this post on Facebook about, okay, so what can you talk about, or like talk for nothing for 30 minutes? And I was like, I did that for 30 years as a teacher. You know, like, I have my lesson plans, but I let the kids take the lesson where they went. And I made sure that I got the stuff in, the real nuts and bolts in, and they would all make fun. It's like, we just wasted a half an hour. And I was like, no, I got in what I needed.
Something.
Yeah.
Yeah. You didn't know you learned.
Yeah.
I taught every year. I do I may have said this on the last one, but my friend teaches a career in the arts class.
Okay. Yeah.
At Depew High School. So every year for like the last 6 years, I've gone in and spoke to the classroom, because I'm like the cool hipster guy, and they're listening to like their boring teacher, even though she's a badass. It's just like, it's your teacher. It doesn't matter how cool you are. You're not cool. Right. Yeah. So like, I can wear a short sleeve and show my tattoos, and my hair can be dumb, and I can swear because they're in high school, and I shouldn't swear, but like, that's always my gimmick, is like, I don't get, like, when I get there, I'm like, I don't give a shit, guys. They're not going to fire me because I don't work here.
Right.
So you can pay attention, and they're all like, but it's like, that's how you draw them in.
Yeah.
But this year I did it on Zoom, and oh my God, it was like, I can't imagine like bombing at like a comedy night, but that's like what I felt like. I was like, I can't imagine what those guys are going through. But
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. But I always really enjoyed speaking to the class, and she does an awesome job. She links you with whatever career you think you might want in the arts.
Yeah.
So like the two kids wanted to be tattoo artists, and like I feel like traditional high school would have been like, oh no, versus Krista, she's the teacher. She's like, oh well, two of my friends are tattoo artists, so you want to see what this is and like so they really get to like see it and learn. They're like interns, and then I do photo, and sometimes I take graphic design kids and just show them like the greatest thing is that you're your own boss and you can do whatever you want whenever you want.
Yeah.
The bad thing is you're your own boss and you can do whatever you want whenever you want.
Yeah.
So like if you
don't be sitting on your ass the whole time, you got to get out, get hustling.
Right. And like the tattoo thing is like, hey, that's on them forever. So if you're having a bad day,
right,
you could ruin that person's body for life. So, I really enjoy that class exists at that high school, and it gives them, and most traditional parents don't want their kids to get into arts or like, it's a cool class.
Well, it's like my degree. What do you do with a phys ed degree?
Right.
There's only really one thing, right? It's not kinesiology. I have kinesiology in my degree, but yeah, so.
Yeah, mine's in economic crime investigation and technology.
See, I there are a couple of things I look over my life, and it's like, yeah, if I could do it again, first, I'd like to be an NBA ref.
Oh yeah,
they make a shitload of money for what they do, But I don't think I'm too tall to be an NBA ref. They're all like 5 foot 8.
I guess I never thought about that. That's hard too.
Oh
I don't know
yeah.
if you've ever reffed.
Oh, I've been reffing since I was like 17 years old.
Oh yeah, so
Yeah.
It's wild. I used to umpire and ref, and like
you're never wrong. Never question yourself. You make a call, you stick to it. That was because I got recruited when I was in high school to ref a game because the second high school ref didn't show up. So, and I knew all the refs because I was playing ball and they were reffing us. And the one ref says, whatever call you make, never ever change your mind. So
yeah, don't move.
Don't
Nothing.
Yeah. And I always learned, in basketball you get 5 fouls. 3 are for the player and 2 are from the referee's mistakes.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
And that's I wish I could play basketball again. I just
wait till you get to me, man. Oh, I got so much arthritis.
My thing is like people take it too like I would love to just play. I don't want to get elbowed in the head.
Yeah.
I don't want to I don't have any competitiveness left in me, and it drives Jess nuts because she's like, you should race your dirt bike, and I'm like, nah, I don't.
Homie, don't do that no more.
I just don't care. Like I like competing against myself, and that's why I like skiing so much.
Exactly.
It's just, challenges for myself, and like the dirt bike we ride a lot of like hard enduro single track. And like it's a puzzle. Like I know this bike can get up there.
Yeah.
But how am I going to get it up there? And can I take the harder route? And if I don't get it, I like go back down. So I'm still competitive, but just with like I don't care about anything else. I don't have it anymore, which is great.
Yeah, you just live, man. That's live. It. Do whatever.
Yeah, Office Space hit me hard. The Office Space theory is just like, yep. Don't care. Don't.
Yeah. Well, I was lucky. I had this gigantic classroom that used to be a shop. And when the parents would walk into my classroom, they'd stand there and they'd look and they're like, man, you are a boys teacher. I'd have a bicycle hanging from the ceiling. I had a skeleton of a Klepper kayak. All my sister, she was the president of Simon & Schuster Publishing in Canada. And so I had all these outdoor magazines that, they put out and all this sort of stuff. And the boys, I hope they did well in my class. I always apologize to the girls.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I tried my best.
Yeah. So anyways, I'm going to wind this up, man. Thanks again for being the first, second, or returning guest on the Skippy Report.
Absolutely. I'm happy. I'm always happy to talk. So I don't care what we talk about. I'm always happy to which is funny because I'm literally doing it, multiple times a week now.
Yeah.
I'm like, I have another podcast today, but you're a guest, so that's cooler. But no, thanks for having me on.
Yeah,
it's always fun to
I can't wait to
chat.
ski this winter with you. Maybe
Yeah,
get
hopefully
Jonathan.
we can actually get across the border here.
Oh yeah. Well, we were talking about that this morning in the hot tub with, and it's like, people are, why isn't the border open? It's like, yeah, well, you know what? We do this. I did the fast calculations. America still has more than twice the daily cases that Canada has.
Oh yeah, and it's crazy.
I still haven't gone to my cottage, and that's in Quebec. We're in this, the same country. It's not essential that I get there. It'll be there when it's all done.
Right.
Yeah, but we do our stuff around here, so we're sane.
That's it. It's like being a tourist in your own town.
Yeah.
Take advantage of the things.
I'd hate to be living in an apartment, though, COVID times.
Yeah, or a van.
Yeah. Well, you can move your van. You get different scenery.
It's all good. It's great.
All right. Well, you take it easy, man.
Cool. Thanks
so much again, Adam.
No problem.
All right.
Later, man.
Again, a huge thank you to Adam Sauerwein for being my first repeat guest here on the Skipper Report. And you can find him on Instagram at Mr. Adam X. And you should check him out and check out some of the web series from early in the career of The Pursuit. So thanks again for tuning in, and check back in a few days for another episode of the Skippy Report.